This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. In the last session, we were talking about bank accounts with the balance sheet concept and also with the cash account concept. Now, what we will do is we will try to create one transaction with the help of bank GL account created as a balance sheet account. At the same time, another bank GL account created as a cash account, and we will try to understand how system is creating the differences we are able to observe from the cash account concept and the traditional balance sheet account concept. First thing what we will do is we will try to post a bank accounting entry with the help of traditional approach called your balance sheet bank account. For that, what I am going to do, I am going to create one expense account in which I will book normal expense account booking, wherein I am going to debit the expense account and I will be crediting my bank sub account. If I look at my GL accounts, let me go to GL master FS00. So I'll be looking at the balance sheet account. Inside the balance sheet, I'm looking at the bank account category. Under bank account, I am going to look at bank sub account called Citibank outgoing GL, which is currently created as a balance sheet account. This is currently created as a balance sheet account. Now I will book an expense account for this balance sheet account. We will see how entry we are booking. Are there any places or anything we are noticing additionally while booking the traditional expense account using bank balance sheet concept? Now to book an expense, as usual, there are no changes. Let me go to F-02. F-02. I'll book with current date, which is 30/04. Reference, I'll give expense. Header text also I am going to give expense. And debit, I'll give expense GL account. I am taking printing and stationery GL account. Let me debit 1000. I'll put a profit center. Text I am giving same thing expense. Next I'll give a credit. Credit to bank outgoing GL account. I'll give the same amount, same profit center, expense. Let me go to document, click on simulate. If I simulate, this is the accounting entry which I'm able to see, and let me try to post it. When I try to post the accounting entry, there is no difference, meaning whatever the accounting entry that you normally post, irrespective of the bank account, cash account, expense account, income account, liability account, we were able to post entry in this similar approach without noticing any differences if your bank account is created under balance sheet GL account type. Next, what we will do is we will try to create another bank account. We will try to create another bank account as a cash account, and then we will post a similar entry there. There also we will post a similar entry, expense account debit, bank outgoing account credit, and then we will see what is going to happen there. For that, let me pick another company code. I'll go to FS00. Let me switch company code from LEIN to 200. So that was 200 company code. I'll take 200. In 200, there is a bank account. Here also HDFC account is there, outgoing account is there, but this is currently created as balance sheet account. Now what I'll do is let me create another account for Citibank. Let me create another account for Citibank. We are all aware to create any bank account, you need to have house bank concept. For that, first I'll create a house bank if I want to. I'll add under company code 200. Let me go to position, pick company code 200, select this, click on house bank, add a new entry. I'll take same thing. Let me take city only so that we can easily differentiate between these two accounts. I'll put bank country India. I'll put city. I'll take 0430. I'll click on create. I'll simply put Citibank 0430. Whatever I give, just ignore the address. and same bank key. I'll put it as bank number. Continue. Save this. House bank is now created. Next thing, we need to create account ID. Before we go for account ID, we need GL account. For creating a house bank, you do not need the GL account, but before you create the house bank account ID, GL account is mandatory. Let me go to GL master, company code 200. What I'll do is 10, 11 is there. I'll create 20, but let me create a new entry all the way. Click on create. Account number, I'll take 20. Continue. Now GL account type, I am going to pick cash account now. I'll pick cash account. Now this 20 ending with 0 will be a reconciliation account because it is a main account. Any bank main GL account will be determined as a reconciliation account. The bank sub account type or bank account type, you will pick bank reconciliation account. And then the other thing is as usual 1310. I'll put city main 101. Instead of 101, let me take 201. And I'll go to control data. In control data, if you see, many things or many fields are eliminated here. You don't find many other fields. The way you create a GL account master data, in control data, there are so many fields. So many fields are eliminated here. You don't find much fields, only few fields are applicable here. Sort key 001. The first thing that you identify is account currency is removed. First thing that you can notify or notice here is account currency is removed because normally you will be using different account currency for bank account. You may be having bank account in INR, you may be having bank account in dollar, any other currency. That currency itself is removed here. Now if I go to create bank interest, here also it is no longer showing house bank account ID. Normally when you create under balance sheet account, there is a field called house bank account ID. Now house bank account ID is not there. I'll put field status group G001. Planning level I'm not giving. This planning level will be used if your treasury is implemented. If a treasury module is implemented, then you will be using a planning level. Since we do not have treasury, we're not talking about FSCM now. I'm not talking about it. I'll enable relevant to cash flow for all the bank accounts. Click on save. This is my city main account. Similarly, I'll create another account, city outgoing account. So this will be 21. 20 is your main account. 21 I'll create. If I come here, GL account type, same cash account, bank sub account. This is a sub account because this is the waiting account or this is a clearing account. I will be selecting bank sub account here. Account group, same thing. Bank balances. The moment I select sub account, it is asking me to select the reconciliation account. The previous account, whatever you created as city main account ending with 20, this account we created as a reconciliation account. Now if you open the drop down, you will find this GL account as a reconciliation account because for this account, this GL account subtype was reconciliation account. Pick up this account, enter. I'll put same thing, city, I'll say outgoing 201. Control data, same thing, no account currency here. Sort key 001. Keep this as open item management because you are going to perform clearing, meaning BRS you are going to perform. For the purpose of bank reconciliation, you'll have to keep open item management. Create bank interest G001. Planning level, leave it relevant to cash flow. Proceed to save. This is what we have created with respect to GL account. There is no change. Point number one, you don't find account currency here. Point number one, there is no account currency. Point number two, there is no reconciliation account type. We are all talking about bank account is a reconciliation account. If you select cash account, for all the reconciliation account, you were able to see, a field called reconciliation account type, customer, vendor and all, that is removed. Now next point, what I'll do is let me create the account ID related the house bank account ID. For that, I'll go to Fiori application. House bank we have already created. Let me go to browser. From bookmarks, let me pick up manage bank accounts. I will log in here. When you create the house bank account ID, you don't find any difference. Only one place you will find a difference. That is your reconciliation account. Yes, no indicator. It will update. That update is what you need to notify. Otherwise, whatever the way you create house bank account ID, it is exactly the same. When you are creating a GL account, except balance sheet account type, cash account type, apart from this, the way that you create a GL account is again exactly the same. Now let me go to create icon here. Company code is 200. Account type is your current account. Current account, let me take 01. Create. Now account description, account currency, I'll put city current account. I'll put 201 in bracket. Country is India. Account currency, I'll put INR. And bank key, whatever we created was city 0430. Account number, I'll put some random number. I'll make sure it is ending with 201. And scroll down, or straight away you go to house bank account connectivity. Straight away go to house bank account connectivity, add a new entry here, click on create. And city, I'll put I'll put house bank account ID as city 1. And come down, give the GL account. It is your 1310 1020. This is what we have created. Not 1310. What is it? Okay. This is the account. Let me put this here. You'll have to make sure main account you will give ending with 0. When I put this GL account, above you will find a change that the bank reconciliation account, it is giving yes. It is giving yes for bank reconciliation account because this GL account is created as a bank reconciliation account with the help of GL account type as cash and GL sub account type as a bank reconciliation account. This is the only one change we need to notice. Otherwise, it is one and the same. After this, you click on apply. Save as inactive and proceed to activate the bank account. Okay, the bank account has been activated. Now we are good to create the transaction with the new bank account. Let us verify if this has been added or not. I'll go to house bank screen again if I want to. Company code is 200. Select this, go to house bank, pick up Citibank, that is what we created now, bank account. Now whatever the account ID which we created in the Fiori application, it is now replicated in your GUI screen. This is the bank main account. Now straight away let us create an expense in this bank GL also. I'll go to F-02. Same thing, I'll post the entry with current date, that is 04. Reference I'll put expense. Here also I'll put expense. Now open the drop down. Let me take one. Okay, there is printing and stationery account here. Let me pick up this. Same amount I'll put 1000. Profit center, let me see what is the profit center here. Profit center in company code 200. This profit center, text I'll put expense. Okay, in the expense line there is no change, it is one and the same. I'll go to credit side, then I'll pick up my bank sub account, which is my Citibank outgoing 201. Select this, press enter. If you see this, the moment you put Citibank outgoing account, two fields are coming additionally which are mandatory. These two fields are your house bank and account ID. These are mandatory for your GL posting whenever you record any transaction to the bank. Any transaction that you recorded to the bank account, house bank account ID becomes mandatory because you are using common GL account for all the bank account. You are using common GL account for all the bank accounts. At the transaction level, you need to specify this transaction is pertaining to which bank account, because you may be operating n number of bank accounts. In the yesterday's example, you have seen 7 bank accounts or 10 bank account. Out of 7 bank accounts, out of 10 bank account, this entry of 1000 is processed from which bank account. You need to open the drop down. You will get the list of banks. You need to open the drop down. You will get the list of banks. Though there are 2 house banks currently, even though there are 2 house banks currently, it is given only one house bank because only one house bank was created as a cash account type. The other house bank was created as a balance sheet account type. That is why even though you have 2 bank accounts here, HDFC and Citibank, even in the house bank there are 2 house banks. One was HDFC Bank, the other one was Citibank, but still system is picking only one because whatever the GL account which was created as a cash account, only from there it is picking the house bank list, not from the balance sheet house bank. It is exclusively picking cash account type house banks alone. From here, pick up the respective house bank. Currently you have only one. If you have multiple bank account, you will see a list there. From the list, pick up the appropriate one, Citibank, and then account ID. Open the drop down, remove this, enter. This is your account ID. Let me pick this account ID and then profit center, text I'll put expense. Now apart from this, there is no other change. The only change is while booking any transaction related to the bank account, you have to input house bank and then account ID. This is the only change. Otherwise, there is no change in your regular GL postings related to bank. Wherever you are manually feeding the bank GL account, irrespective of the GL account, whatever the account you are manually feeding, make sure you will input house bank account ID, because at the transaction level you are telling the system that this entry is related to this particular house bank, this particular account ID. Let me save this entry. I posted this entry. Let me display this entry. When you display this entry, if I go to bank line item, and if I go to additional data on the top, there is something called house bank account ID here. Similarly, we posted one more entry here. This is 200. Let me go to FB03. Let me display the document from LEIN company code also. LEIN, and I'll give entry date as current date, 30th April, own documents, click on execute. Second entry, this is what we posted. Here also I will open the bank account. If I click on bank account, same thing. If I go to additional data here, there is nothing called house bank account ID here, but you will be able to see house bank account ID here. This is the only difference. Otherwise, there is no difference. There is no house bank account ID because that is a regular balance sheet account. Because that is a regular balance sheet account, the GL account itself has got a dedicated house bank account ID. According to balance sheet account concept, each GL account is containing or is representing dedicated house bank account ID according to this logic. But when it comes to cash account logic, your GL account is common. Your GL account is not representing any house bank. Your GL account is not representing any account ID. GL account is not representing any house bank, any account ID. Your transaction is representing the house bank account ID. You are defining the house bank and then account ID at the time of a transaction posting. That is why at every transaction level, system will capture house bank account ID. Now, if I pull the report for this, if I take this GL account, if I go to FAGLL03, if I put this GL account, if I click on execute, this is your company code 200. If I click on execute, this is what I'm able to see. But the differentiation point, the differentiation factor was house bank account ID. We need to make sure house bank account ID is available or not from the layout. Go to change layout. From the change layout, you verify the house bank. There is something called account ID I can find here. Let me bring account ID here. Similarly, let me go to H to find out house bank. House bank is here. Let me put house bank here. I'll click on copy. If you see this in the GL account line item report, you will be able to see house bank account ID here. Let me save this variant. Okay, I created this as a test. Similarly, let me pull this report also. This GL account report also, let me pull from this company code. FHGLL03, this account from LEIN company code, execute. I can see these many entries. Let me pick that variant, that layout. Test. Here if you see, you have got house bank account ID, but the entry that we posted it today, was these two. These are the two documents that we posted today with SA type. For SA type, house bank account ID is not picked up. For SA type, house bank account ID is not picked up. Wherever you have seen or wherever you are able to see house bank account ID, these are the entries which are coming from your automatic payment program. Everybody is aware when you process any automatic payment program, GL account is determined based on the FBZB config. In the FBZB configuration, GL account determination is always based on house bank account ID concept. From there, house bank account ID is coming. But when you are processing any manual JV, when you are entering any manual entry, there is nothing called house bank account ID. Straight away, there is an inconsistency here. Straight away, there is an inconsistency because some house bank fields are blank, some account ID fields are blank. When the field is blank, you will not have the consistency. When the field is blank, there is no point of consistency, meaning you cannot depend on this. On the other side, if you look at this report, though you posted a manual transaction, it is capturing house bank and account ID as a mandatory input. And when you're generating multiple reports or when you're using multiple bank accounts, all the outgoing payments will be representing the same GL account. Now we created a city outgoing. In general, you will be creating bank outgoing, not city outgoing. You are not going to represent any name here. You will not represent any name here. Let me change GL description also. Let me change GL description here. This will not be any bank. Just for the easy identification purpose, I put city. Otherwise, we don't put city there because you are not representing any bank account there. You are only representing the normal bank, common bank. save the description. If I come back to the report and if I refresh the report, currently city outgoing, it is supposed to represent bank outgoing. Go to list, click on refresh. Now the GL account description has been updated to bank outgoing, meaning when you look at the GL account name, you should not know what is this bank. When you look at the GL account description, you should not know what is this bank related to, because you are using this account as a common reconciliation account. When I say common reconciliation account, the account will not tell you which bank it is. Account transaction will tell you related to which bank the entry was posted. Meaning, if you post 10 entries here, you can post 10 entries in 10 different house banks, 10 different account ID. What you are going to do at that level, you will do a total at the account level. This is the total at the account level. Along with the account level total, you are supposed to do a subtotal at the house bank level. You are supposed to do a total at the house bank level or at the account ID level, whatever the way is convenient, meaning whatever is a unique record for you at that level, either house bank or account ID, you need to do a subtotal. Meaning, if I do a subtotal at Citibank account ID level, if I do this here, I can find out from the Citibank this is the payment. I can find out from the Citibank this is the payment. Next thing what I'll do is, let me create another house bank. What I'll do, I'll create another house bank now. For that, same thing, I'm not going to create another GL account. Same GL account will be used, but another house bank will be created. I'll go to FI12, company code 200, select this, click on house bank. Currently HDFC is there, Citi is there. Let me add another entry. I will add Axis, and then I'll add country. I'll put Axis 0430. I'm just reading this as April 30, that's it. No other logic. Create, I'll put Axis. Something I'm writing, just ignore whatever the address I'm giving, because that is immaterial for us. Now straight away let me go to house bank account ID creation. Now this is created, just come back one level, click on create again to create another account ID, company code 200, account type 01, current account, click on create. Account description, I'll say access current account 201. This I'm just giving for the identification purpose, that's it. It has got no connection with your GL account. Bank country India, currency INR, account number, some random number I'll give. I'll make sure this ends with 301. Bank key will be access 0430, this one. And then straight away go to house bank account connectivity. Create a new record here. I'll put, house bank account, access 1. Scroll down, give the GL account. GL account, whatever I have given, same account, 13100020. I think this is the one. So still bringing the old description, city main 201, 1310. Is this the correct description that I have given? One sec. FS00. Bank account. Bank main. I'll remove this icons from here, because I'm not representing any bank. We are not supposed to have anything which is identical to a bank specific account. because this is a common account. So not, it should not represent, it should not be identical to any of the. Now I'll come here. This is not reflected, but this will get updated shortly. This is created. Click on apply. Now save as inactive. Now click on activate. Now what we did, we created second house bank for the Axis. Now the same GL account we are sharing with Axis Bank account and also with the Citibank. For Citibank we were able to post a document. Now let me try to post another document for the Axis Bank. So what I'll do, I'll book another expense. Go to SAP F-02. Same entry, I'll put expense, expense, debit, I'll take the expense GL. I'll take same amount. Let's say I'll take 1500. Profit center, expense, I'll put credit, same GL account, 1500. I'll give profit center, I'll give text. Now when I open the house bank here, we are expecting two house banks to be displayed. We are expecting two house banks to be displayed. It is giving you two house bank. You need to choose at the transaction level whether this 1500 is paid from Axis Bank or it is paid from the Citibank. If this has been paid from the Axis Bank, select Axis Bank as house bank. Within the Axis Bank, there may be several bank accounts. Within the Axis Bank branch, you may be creating multiple account IDs, multiple bank accounts. Accordingly, you need to pick the appropriate account here. Remove the GL account, enter. Currently under Axis Bank, there is only single bank account. Pick up this, press enter. Straight away, you can simulate and then save it. That's fine. Click on simulate, proceed to save. Now this entry is also created. If I go to the report now, if I go to the GL report, if I try to refresh the data, go to list, click on refresh, 1000 plus 1500, we are expecting a 2500 credit balance here. Go to list, click on refresh, you can see 2500 here. Now if you see this, the same account, bank outgoing account, 1000 is processed from Citibank, 1500 is processed from Axis Bank, and how you are going to identify what is the bank account balance, how much is processed from which bank account is based on the house bank account ID subtotal. You need to put a subtotal either at the house bank level or at the account ID level. It is recommended you do at account ID level because house bank may be duplicate. Because if you have two different accounts in Citibank, you may be having Citi as a house bank, account ID can be Citi1, Citi2. If you do a total at house bank level, you may be combining the two account balances. Instead, what you do is click on account ID, do a subtotal here. If you do a subtotal here, if you collapse this one, you can easily find out under the bank accounting, Axis Bank has paid 1500, Citibank has paid 1000. You can easily segregate what amount has been processed from which bank while using the house bank account ID concept. How you are able to segregate this information? It's only because of your transaction. When I say it is only because of your transaction, while posting the accounting entry, wherever you are giving the bank account, system is asking you to input house bank and account ID. With the help of house bank, with the help of account ID, you are able to identify this. Even in the reporting, you can segregate based on the house bank and account ID logic. This is the first level of understanding when it comes to your bank GL accounts used based on the cash accounting concept. Once you practice this, next level what we will do is we will try to practice. Now this is clear. Second level of testing, what we will do is bank manual payments. bank manual outgoing payment. So this is usually F-58, and after that we will be testing bank outgoing payment with printout. This is basically F-58, and after this we will be doing automatic payment program. This is your F110, and finally we will test bank reconciliation. So both your FF67 and FF_5. These things we will be testing, we will be verifying in the upcoming sessions, so that you will have a practical understanding, you will have a practical differences, how this is working in your traditional method where you are using balance sheet account, at the same time how this is working in the new cash account concept using reconciliation approach. Okay, so GL is what we have completed, so I'll say that this is done. This we will do in the tomorrow's session. This and this is very simple, because we already have house bank, we already have account ID. It's only additional add-on steps that we need to do, 2-3 additional config we will have to do, then you will be clear with this concept. So this is your F-53, this is 53, this is 58, APP F110, bank reconciliation FF67 for manual bank reconciliation, FF_5 for your electronic bank reconciliation using MT940 format. Once we understand this, you will be able to differentiate, you will be able to explain to your interviewer, to your client, to your user, to whosoever is asking. You can talk in a very confident way, because you are seeing the total functionality practically by comparing to the traditional approach, meaning the classic approach of balance sheet account. Same scenario parallelly we are testing with the cash account concept, so that you will not find any differences, you will not find any confusions, you will be understand what is the difference, why this is recommended, because people might ask these things in your interviews. In case if you're talking about these functionalities as part of your project activity, you can confidently mention. Okay, so what I want you to do is practice the company code, don't experiment in the other company code. In your company code only create the entry, create another bank account, but for that particular bank account alone you create this, the house bank account ID, post it. Don't experiment anything on the vendor and all until we discuss, because your automatic payment program and all, if you have already configured, do not experiment at this moment. Tomorrow when I explain the procedure, what exactly you need to do, at that time you can experiment in your same company code with the help of payment, vendor payment also. Okay, so make sure you complete your practice here for today. The remaining portion we will continue in the next session.